Do not wait for someone else to come and speak for you. It's you who can change the world. Do not wait for someone else to come and speak for you. It's you who can change the world. Good evening, girls. Welcome you once again for my English class. Today we are going to continue the previous topic, that is Indian Women, written by Dr. Radhakrishnan. In the previous class, I gave an overall view of Dr. Radhakrishnan about Indian women. Once again, I am going to recall you. In Indian Women, Dr. Radhakrishnan stresses the position of women in India. He says that womanhood has been highly respected in Indian tradition. They have equal right to development and advancement in life as men do. The development of a society depends upon the position of women. So, women are also human beings. They have full right to develop as men have. We should not discriminate the sex. They are male, they are female. We are female, they are male. Male only can do those things, female can't. Just stop that discrimination. Women cannot do certain things which man can do. Women cannot do certain things which men can do. The psychology prevents this. It does not prove inferiority on their part. Both men and women have same spirit and intellectual power. We are have a same spiritual. That's why we have equal right to men. So, and one more thing, he supported and he stresses that women's education. Ends in the earlier times, in the beginning, they welcomed for women education. After that, they neglected. Once they are illiterate means women are causes to be superstitious. It is about by Swami Vivekananda because he complained that India yet produce a greatest woman. India cannot yet produce great women because loss of dignity. It raises the inferiority. So those things were discussed in the previous class. Today we are going to see one by one in the end. So see, if you educate a man, you educate an individual. But if you educate a woman, you educate a family. That means nation. Malala, you know who is she? She is the activist, one who fight for education, and she received a bullet for his prize. She is a Pakistani. So in little age, she achieved a great thing. So now let we go one by one. Importance of women. First point, Indian tradition. In Indian tradition has generally respected womanhood. So many times I said this line, Indian tradition has generally respected womanhood. Though occasionally we find derogatory reference to women, even occasionally we find some derogatory, that means disrespectful reference to women. Even God is regarded as half man, half woman, Ardhanadishvara. In Hindu religion, the goddess resembles half man and half woman. Name is Ardhanadishvara. Ardhanarishvara. See, in God also, half man, half woman is there. And one more point, Manu declares that where women are honored, there the God are pleased. When women are honored, there the gods are pleased. Where they are not honored, all works become fruitless. So here, where women are honored, there are the gods are pleased. There is a God that in there pleased God. Where they are not honored, all works become fruitless. All work become ineffective. Women are human beings and have as much right to full development as men. Of men and of women. Equal rights is there. Women are human beings and have as much right to full development as men have. In regard to opportunity for intellectual and spiritual development, according to the intellectual and spiritual level, they have a equal. We should not emphasize the sex of women even as we do not emphasize the sex of men. When we are emphasizing this only can do male. For this, female is not said. Like this, we have never discriminate. The fact that we are human beings infinitely more important than the physiological peculiarities which distinguish us from one another. In all human beings, irrespective of their sex, the same drama of the flesh and the spirit of the finitude and transcendence take place. Actually, we have a same flesh, same mind, same spiritual, but our irrespective of sex. That is, we are showing he is a male, she is a female. That is the reason. Women cannot do something that men can. Their psychology prevents them. It is a psychology. Okay, so in early times, education of women was encouraged. The goddess of learning is Saraswati. In the Vedic age, women enjoyed equal opportunities for education and work. They were eligible for Ubanayan, initiation, and Brahmacharya or a study of Brahma knowledge. In certain periods of our history, education of women was sadly neglected and women lapsed into illiteracy and superstition. So, in Vedic period, women were enjoyed and encouraged to the equal opportunities for the education and work. They were eligible for Upanaya and initiations and for a brahmacharya of a study. In certain period in history of education of women was sadly neglected. They stopped. Women have to lapsed into illiteracy and superstition. So when they stopped that, they become as a illiteracy and a more belief on superstitious. Ramakrishna movement and Gandhiji works. So actually thanks to Ramakrishna movement and Gandhi's work, women are slowly coming into their own. It is true that Ramakrishna advised renunciation of women. That means the formal rejection of something. Formal rejection of women and wealth for his male devotees. But that was only in view of man's possible. Weakness with regard to the opposite sex. For he also advised his women devotees to renounce men and wealth. Ramakrishna's respect for womanhood, it comes out in the dealing with his wife Sarada Devi and other women. So actually, he had a good job. When he started to dealing with his wife, he started to respect a womanhood. In the beginning, he said, But also, that was only in view of man's possible weakness with regard to the opposite sex, for he also advised his women devotees to renounce. Renounce means it's a formal rejection. You have to reject men and wealth. He accepted the lady Bhairavi Brahman for his teacher. Woman is not innately weak any more than man is. Gandhi engaged many women in his struggle for the political liberation of the country. This has helped in the emancipation of Indian women. So, in Gandhiji work, Gandhiji follows a ahimsa, non-violence for political liberation. Along with them, women are supported, women are struggled. That is the emancipation of Indian women. That is the starting point. That is the main view of Indian women. Male and female. While spiritual life and social service are open to women, marriage and motherhood are treated as a normal vacation for them. Modern anthropology brings out clearly that marriage and family are found in one form or another as a fundamental institution in every human society. Primitive or civilized, it is difficult to imagine a social recognition in which these institutions are not found. The relation of man and woman is the expression of one urge of a duality. So if family means there is a male and female, then only it considered as a family. So it is the family, beginning of the spiritual life. It is a social service and open to women, is a marriage and motherhood are treated as the normal vocation. Each is a self which requires the other as such complement. Each is a self which requires the other as its complement. The division of the sex is biological phenomenon, not a historical event like the division of race and classes. It is a biological phenomenon, male and female. It is not a class and races. Male and female constitute ordinarily a fundamental unity. Male and female constitute ordinarily as a fundamental unity. When they are together, it is called unity. And that is not division of races and classes. It is a biological phenomenon. Freedom of women. Freedom of women. The institution of marriage was exalted in the Indian tradition. Women were free to choose their husband. The freedom of women is evident from the account of the popular festival called Samna, where men and women met and mixed freely. Actually, freedom of women. They choose their husband, their own choice. Regarding to this, the popular festival called Samna, where men and women met and mixed together freely. Women are not the born slaves of pleasure. Women are not born slaves of pleasure. The end of marriage is spiritual comradeship. Yet sex life was not a dislike. Its importance for human development was recognized. It has been tendency of men to use women as an object of amusement and pleasure. Woman is asked to look upon man as the meaning and justification of her existence. This is in line with the well-known saying, he for God only, she for God in him. He for God only, she for God to him. It's often said in the Oriental woman in a slave. It only means that self-assertion, self-confidence. It only means that the self-confidence is not her quality. It only means that self-quality is not her quality. Self-confidence is not her quality. Self-belief is not her quality. The Oriental woman is not very different from other women. The Oriental woman is not different from other women. Innermost nature. So every woman have a unique quality, unique confidence, unique nature. Women is a nature. Women means nature. Women means nature. Nature means even you can take a poet. You can take one of our greatest, William Wordsworth. In his poem, he is a famous for nature. Nature means women. She remains essentially feminine, an account of a social and religious culture. When he started to doing a service in society, he essentially called as a feminine in an account of a social and religious culture. She gives and not takes. She gives and not takes. The world over women are devoted and obedient. The world over women are devoted and obedient. She gives and not takes. In the beginning of the class also, I said some lines about that is, respect a woman because you can feel her innocence in a form of a daughter. You can feel her care in a form of a sister. You can feel her warmth in the form of a friend. You can feel her passion in the form of a beloved. You can feel her dedication in the form of a wife. You can feel her divinity in the form of a mother. You can feel her blessing in the form of a grandmother. Yet, she is so tough too. So, through these lines also you can understand she gives, not a takes. She gives, not a takes. The world over, women are devoted and obedient. Not only in India, overall the world, women are devoted and obedient personality. They dare to suffer where men would to shrink. They dare to suffer, they are ready to suffer where manhood believe, where manhood they ready to suffer where manhood shrink. Next one, status of women. In both men and women equally is women. There is a deep desire to reproduce their kind. This is not a product of social conditioning. The satisfaction and creative opportunity of motherhood are well known. These lines are, after getting a marriage, women have to be motherhood. So that's why they are saying in both men and women, especially in women, there is a deep desire to reproduce their kind. This is not a product of social conditioning. The satisfaction and creative opportunities of motherhood are well known. A woman bears the suffering caused by the pains of labor, but she forgets them in the joy of creation. She is essentially not the object of man's lust, but is the mother, the maker, the leader. It is the privilege of mother to bring up her children, to help them to develop their distinctive gifts, physical and mental, ethical and spiritual. Marriage without motherhood is incomplete. Marriage without motherhood is incomplete. Speciality of women. The beginning of these are the things of speciality. What are that means? Once again I will say, she is essentially not the object of men's lust, but he is the mother, the maker, the leader. It is the privilege of mother to bring up her children, to help them to develop their distinctive gifts, physical and mental, ethical and spiritual. Marriage without motherhood is incomplete. In society, once she got a marriage, she become a more responsible than men. She will live her life culturally and spiritually. Her target is she have to be good motherhood. Apart from that, she is a good woman. Union of marriage. The beginning of the union of marriage. That means a family is causing widespread concern. So much of concerning about women. It is no use congratulating ourselves. It is no use congratulating ourselves that things are not so bad. Here as in some other countries. Here as it is some other countries. For the deterioration increasing gradually in our country, to check it, we have to adopt higher standards of education and moral instruction, not merely for women but also for men. A successful marriage requires personal adjustment, which are not easy to make. They are possible only when we accept certain ethical and religious standards. The union of marriage. The marriage is considered as a union, family. A family causing widespread concern. Okay, family means it's a widespread of caring. It is no use of congratulating ourselves that things are not so bad here as in some other countries. For that, to check it, we have to adopt higher standards of education and moral instruction, not merely for women but also for men. When we received a higher standard of education, they will change in their cultural, but that is bad. It is merely for women but also for men. A successful marriage requires adjustments which are not easy to make. They are possible only when we accept certain ethical and religious standards. Once you got a marriage, once you have a family, you have to follow the ethical and religious standard. We are all educated, we are all in modern. For that we can't do anything such against our culture. Cultural and spiritual level. The spirit of Indian culture does not deny to individual women the opportunity for spiritual development or intellectual eminence. Here, not allow to individual women the opportunity for a spiritual development or a intellectual eminence. Those who are inclined towards a saintliness. Those who are inclined towards saintliness or scholarship become a sannyasi in spirit. That means most of male, they will want to live a life brahmachari, sannyasins. They won't get a marriage at all. They will live their life single. Though not always in form, undivided alliance to their aims is demanded of them. Though not always in form, undivided alliance to their aims to demanded of them. Sarada Devi is a noble example of this type. So, Why here consider Sarada Devi is the best example means, you just take Ramakrishna and Sarada Devi. Actually, Ramakrishna also started to obey women because of when he started to dealing his wife with and other women also. That is the reason he respected a womanhood. So adjustment. Each one have to respect together. Adjustment is very important in the. That's why Sarada Devi is considered as an example of this time. She impressed all those who had the privilege of meeting her as an embodiment of grace, purity and simplicity. She astonished all those who had a privilege of meeting her as an embodiment of a grace, purity and simplicity. The main thing of purity, simplicity and a grace. The large majority of women as men, however, prefer marriage and motherhood to the life of saintlessness. So the large majority of women as men, they prefer marriage and motherhood to the life of saintliness, science or a scholarship. They are the great conservators of our culture. They are all great conservators, arguers, fighters for our culture. Once they got marriage, once the motherhood, once the family, it will be full and full, respectable and responsibility in the society. That's why they are all great conservators. Even in families where they have received the modern education, they added to the household ritual, cradle, song and popular poetry. So even though once we got a modern education, we are in following some modern education means we have to be support and we have to household the rituals and cradle song on a popular poet. A definite philosophy of life is bound up with these. By the very quality of their being, women are the missionaries of civilization. Women are the missionaries of civilization. With their immense capacity for self-sacrifice, they have a power to sacrifice. They are the unquestioned leaders in ahimsa. They are the unquestioned leaders in ahimsa. Women are only follow the non-violence. Through the non-violence, they adopt many things. They will yet teach the arts of peace to the warring world. The world is full of war, full of revenge. Yet, women teach the arts of peace. The position of women in any society is a true index of a cultural and spiritual level. Men who are responsible for many of the views about women have woven fantastic stories about the latest glamour and instability and their inferiority to men as well as their mystery and sanctity. This is the conclusion of this topic. The position or women in any society is a true index of cultural and spiritual level. Men who are responsible for many of the views about women have woven fantastic stories. She have the ability to create imaginary stories about the latest glamour and instability and their inferiority to men as well as their mystery and sanctity. So those things where make a society is a spiritual and so here men who are responsible for many of the views about women have woven a fantastic stories about the later glamours, instability and their inferiority to men as well as their mystery and sanctity. So at last he conclude that It concludes that Indian tradition has generally respected women. Even great saints like Ramakrishna and Vivekananda have expressed their reverence to womanhood. The cultural and spiritual growth depend upon the position of women in the society. They are capable of teaching peace to the warring world. So, this is the concept and this is the views in Indian women. Women are vital human resource in improving the quality of life. The country's overall development depends greatly on the inclusion of women in its development process. The status of women in a society is a true index of its cultural, social, religious, and spiritual level. If one man can destroy everything, why can't one girl change it? If one man can destroy everything, why can't one girl change it? Thank you, girls. I hope you are all understand this topic and you were enjoyed it. Thank you.